Haripul Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Giriraj Das here. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. To my dear audience, you should note that most of you are video off, and I am a personal yogi. I am not an impersonal yogi. I connect with people, not with the screen. Jai Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So, last time we discussed about Pralambasur Vadha and Dawanal Pan, Munjatavi Pan. Today we are going to discuss about Chir Haran Lila, one of the most misunderstood and confusing Leelas for the worldly people. So it is the second chapter, 22nd chapter of 10th canto. Sri Shuka Uvacha Hemante Prathame Masi Nanda Vrajakumarikaha Cherur Havishyam Bhunjana Katyayani Archana Vratam. Shukdev Goswami said, during the month of the winter seasons, the young unmarried girls of Gokul observed the vow of worshipping goddess Katyayani. For the first month, they ate only, for the entire month, they ate only unspiced khichdi, which is called as Havishya. So, I would like to give you some Panchanga understanding. Panchanga understanding is like this. It is mentioned here that in the first month of winter season, in the shloka it is mentioned as Hemante Prathame Masi. So Hemanta Ratu begins in the middle of November of English calendar. And in Indian calendar, it is Margashirsha month. Now Margashirsha month actually is understood in two different ways. One is Purnimasyanta month. That means the understanding of month beginning from Purnima to Purnima. And another understanding is Amavasyanta month. That is beginning from Pratipada to Amavasya. In Vrindavan Dham, all the temples, they follow Purnimasyanta understanding. So the way we follow Damodar Mas, the way we follow Chaturmas. Chaturmas begins on Vyasa Purnima, Ashada Purnima, or Ashada Ekadashi, and ends on Kartik Ekadashi or Kartik Purnima. So it is beginning with Purnima and ending with Purnima. And the same way the Vrindavan calendar also works in all the temples of Goswamis. So if you study this chapter 22nd of 10th canto, then you will come to know that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is explaining that they began the Katyayani Vrat just the day after Kartik month was over. And then also he explains that the Chir Haran Leela took place at the end of 30 days or the month long of Katyayani Vrat, and it was Purnima day. So what does that mean? If there are 30 days of Katyayani Vrat, which is ending on Purnima, it has to be beginning on Purnima. So when our Chaturmasya ended or ends on Kartik Purnima, the very next day, that is the Kartik Vadya Pratipada or Margashirsha Pratipada. On that day, they began Katyayani Vrat. There is a small history also connected with Braj pastimes. That when Radharani washed her hands in Pili Pokhar, everybody was very excited that now Radharani is engaged by Yashoda Mai with Krishna in the mind. So they all went to Purnamasi Devi to take out Muhurta of their wedding. And they also wanted to marry Krishna. But Purnamasi Devi knew that the Parakiya Leela of Vrindavan Dham are not over. At this moment of time, the bhava of the Leela was Parakiya more than Fakiya. Hiding and meeting, signaling and meeting, disguising and meeting, going away and meeting in seclusion. All this was the predominant mood of Brajbhumi. So that's why Purnamasi, knowing the will of the Lord, said that the stars are not in good position. They are not in auspicious position. So it is better not to get them married now. It is not auspicious to get them married now. So he said that all the gopis, including Radharani, were very upset that time because their heartfelt desire was about to be fulfilled. But even after Yashoda Mai putting turmeric on the hands of Radharani, still the wedding got postponed. That's why they were upset. And thus they began Katyayani Vrat immediately after Kartik month. This is one historic background behind the Vrata. Now, another explanation to all of you is what is Havishya. Because Cherur Havishyam Bhunjanaha. They were eating every day Havishya only. That means for one whole month, there was no salt in their diet, no spice in their diet, no turmeric in their diet. Only three things, either moong dal or urad dal, black till, sesame seeds, and rice. These three grains in equal quantity are boiled in water, and only cow ghee is poured on that. It's a very tasteless matter. We give this to ladies when we do Simantanayan Samskar. And I also have tasted that because Havishya is to be made and offered to the fire, and then it has to be fed to the lady who is pregnant. It is not having any taste, but it is very rich and divine in taste, that I can tell you. At the same time, it is tasteless. At the same time, it is divinely tasteful. So that is Havishya. And before any, Prabhupada writes in the first purport only that before any holy ceremony, such preparation is made, and the person who is performing the vrata is supposed to eat this to purify his body and to become eligible for the particular vrata or festival or the mahotsav or the puja that is in mind. So now we are running through Sharad Ritu. We should be very clear about it. Sharad Ritu began at the time of Navaratri beginning. And it will go on for the whole month. And that's why Ashwin Purnima is called as Sharad Purnima. Sharad Purnima is another beautiful event. It's coming in 2 days' time, which happened in Sharad Ritu. after Sharad Ritu ends, Hemant Ritu begins, and Hemant Ritu is supposed to be cold. Sharad Ritu is supposed to be very hot and Pittakari. So all of you devotees should know that sweets made of milk of cows are prescribed for all of us to eat to subdue the pitta that is produced in the body because of the weather, because of the heat outside. Clear skies and scorching heat is a symptom of Sharad Ritu. So the Sharad Ritu ended and then Hemant Ritu started. And that time the gopis started doing Katyayani Vrat. How they would do Katyayani Vrat? They would first of all wake up at 5 o'clock, very early morning, it is mentioned here. At very, very early morning in Brahma Muhurta, they would wake up. And they would call each other by names from wherever they are. They would get ready and holding each other's hands, they would walk from their homes to the bank of Yamuna. Mostly it looks like from Barsana, they would be walking towards Vrindavan, Yamuna. So very far distance, they would walk early morning in darkness, holding each other's hands, singing the glories of Krishna, singing songs of Krishna's pastimes, and they would walk all the way towards the bank of Yamuna. Then they would take bath in Yamuna, they would cook the Havishya, they would make the deity of Katyayani Devi out of the either earth, but what it means by various purports which I read, by the Baluka, by the sand at the banks of Yamuna, which also can be called as earth or can be called as clay. Where somewhere the dust at the bank of Yamuna is like a clay, sticky. Somewhere it's like a reti, sand, and somewhere it's like earth, that is matti. So every day they would make a form of Katyayani Devi of the sand, and then they would do Shodashopachara Puja. That's also very interesting. What does it mean? Gandhaha, Malyai, Surabhibhi, Balibhihi, Dhupa Dipakaha, Ucha Avachai, Upaharaha, Pravala Phala Tandulai. All these things they would offer to Katyayani Devi. What is Gandhaha? That is Chandan and other fragrant material. That is Aguru and another material which is very soft pasted. Malyai, that is fragrant flower garlands. Surabhibihi. Surabhi means fragrant. So, Surabhibihi Malyai. Balibihi. Balibihi means Vastra, Alankar and Naivedya. Balibihi means Vastra, Alankar, Naivedya as per Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Ucha Avachai means some items were highly opulent like ornaments and some were very simple like flowers. Dhupa Dipakaha, they would offer dhoop and they would also offer lamps made of cow ghee. Upaharaha, it also consisted of giving gifts in the end of the worship. Pravalaha, many fresh leaves were offered. Falaha, many varieties of fruits from the forest of Vrindavan were offered to Devi. And Tandulai, in the end, there would be betel nuts and betel leaves that would be offered to Devi. This is called as Shodasha Upachara. That means 16 items or in the 16 different ways or 16 items offered in different ways is called Shodasha Upachara. There's one more worship is called as Panchopachara. That is 5 items are called. That is Kumkum, Akshat, Chandan, Dhoop and lamp. That is called as Panchopachara. And Shodashopachara is very elaborate. So, now we will want to know who is Katyayani Devi. Recently we celebrated Navaratri. And on 6th day, by the way, Navaratri is the Bahiranga Shakti of Krishna. She is worshipped for 9 days in 9 different forms. She took 9 different forms to eradicate all the demoniac forces. And she blessed the world without any demons. So, on the 6th day of Navratri, the Devi which is worshipped is called as Katyayani. And who is Katyayani? Just give me a minute. So, on the 6th day, Devi's name is Katyayani. Who is Katyayani? She is a daughter of a sadhu called Katyayan. And he was such a great rishi that for thousands of years he worshipped Durga Devi, desiring that Durga Devi should become his daughter. So, to fulfill his desire, from the divine effulgence of Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, Devi was created. And the first person to worship that Devi was Rishi Katyayan. And this same Devi, after being worshipped by Katyayan, took birth as his daughter. That's why her name was Katyayani Devi. She took birth as daughter of Katyayan. She had 4 arms. She was riding on a lion. She bestows upon all of us dharma, artha, kama, moksha. And she holds sword in one hand and she gives benediction by other hand. So this is the background of Katyayani Devi also. Now, when they were worshipping, there was one beautiful mantra that they would be chanting, which is coming in Bhagavatam also. Katyayani Mahamaye Mahayogini Adishwari Nanda Gopa Sutam Devi Pati Me Kurute Namaha. Pati Me Kurute. Please, O Devi, O Katyayani, O Mahamaya, O Mahayogini Adishwari. That boy, that son of Nanda Gopa. O Devi, please make him our husband. So, this is the shloka that they would chant. Itim mantram japanti astaha pujam chakruhu kumarikaha. This mantra the girls would chant regularly, the kumarikas, the unmarried girls, desiring Krishna to be their husband. So now, so many discussions Prabhupada has done and his disciples have done, that we worship demigods basically when we are completely overwhelmed by the desire of sense gratification. We go to devatas. Kamais taitair jnana prapadyante anya devataha. When we are overwhelmed with material desires, what happens is ritadjnana. We are bereft of intelligence and knowledge. And then we go prapadyante anya devata. Then we go and surrender to anya devata for satisfying our lusty desires. So there are 4 kinds of approaches to lords. One approach is to demigods, simply for getting fulfilled in sense gratificatory desires, to fulfill our desire for sense gratification. Then we go to demigods to worship them to achieve bhakti. Like most of us, including me, worshipped Lord Shiva for fulfilling some desire like passing exams, first MBBS, second MBBS, or getting admission in medical college. And that was achieved by their blessings. And then the next exam was quite far from now. So what to pray? So I prayed that whatever is good for me, for my ultimate welfare, please do. So within no time, I was in ISKCON temple, Juhu, and I started my career as attempting to become devotee of Krishna. So it was very clear that in the beginning, there was a worship for fulfilling the desire of sense gratification. And then it was worshipping Lord Shiva to really asking him to do whatever is good for me. So this second type of worship, going to demigods to ask for bhakti or whatever is good. So gopis were worshipping the Katyayani Devi, who was demigoddess, but they were not worshipping her for sense gratification. Third type of worship is approaching the Supreme Lord Krishna for fulfilling our material desires of sense gratification. Now this is bona fide because Krishna only says akamo, sarva kamo va, moksha kamo va, udaradhi. If you have lots of material desires, come to me, I will fulfill them. If you have no desires, please come to me. If you have desire for liberation, moksha kamo va, then also you come to me. Because whatever you may desire, I will only do what is good for you. Even if you desire, suppose you go to your uncle or your father and say, Father, give me some cigarettes to smoke. And father will tightly slap you 2 times. He's not going to fulfill the desire which is not good for you. Father, please give me chocolate, please give me ice cream, please give me biscuits. He will immediately give you. But you ask for cigarettes or alcohol, glass of alcohol, then he may hit you. So that is why we have to understand that going to Krishna for desiring sense gratification is still good, because even though we desire wrong, he will not fulfill it. He will just fulfill what is good for us. So third method of worshipping is going to Supreme Lord for sense gratification. And the best of all is to approach Sri Krishna for achieving pure devotional service. That is the best thing. But going to demigods with the desire to attain Krishna is not bad, because demigods like Lord Ganesha, Lord Shankar, and Parvati Devi, and Brahma, and Kartikeya, and Chandra, Varuna, all these are equipped by the Lord to give us Shuddha Bhakti. If we desire so, they can fulfill it. But unfortunately, all of us and everybody in the world approach them only with material desires. And they also have no choice but to try to fulfill your material desires as per your karmas, not out of your karma. But their capacity of giving us Shuddha Bhakti is not utilized fully, because nobody is asking them for Shuddha Bhakti. Everybody approaches them for selfish material desires. So Narottam Das Thakur has forbidden all of us from worshipping any demigod. Completely he has forbidden. But still, at other places it is explained by our acharyas that we must respect all the demigods, because the very oxygen that we breathe is given by Vayudev. The very water that we drink and use in our life is given by Indradev. The sun is giving us heat and light and arogya. And Brahma is creating, Vishnu is maintaining, and Shiva is destroying. And Shiva is giving us so many other benedictions, even without our asking him. And Durga also is maintaining and taking care of us. So, the root of all material existence is maintained by all the demigods on behalf of Krishna. That is why when we become devotees of Krishna, it doesn't mean we disrespect demigods. We may not worship them as Supreme Personality of Godhead. We should not. But we should offer our due respects and due prayers to them, because they have very powerful position empowered by the Supreme Lord himself. So anyways, let's go ahead in the Leela. There are also important points to understand, because many people misunderstand that they quote gopis. That see, even in Bhagavatam, the Amalam Puranam, the pure devotees of Krishna, the gopis, the highest of all devotees, they also worship Devi. So why should not we worship? But the explanation given by Acharya is that they went to Devi goddess Katyayani, but only they were desiring Krishna as their husband. There was no material other desire. Anya Abhilasha was not there. They only were desiring for Krishna. That's why they are approaching Krishna, they are approaching Devi for achieving Krishna, and his love was bona fide. It needs explanation to all the worldly people. So gopis worshipped Katyayani for 30 days. The demigod worship is always for a fixed number of days. You see, any worship of any demigods is always limited by some number of days or some number of weeks. But Krishna's worship is for all lifetimes to come, life after life. It never begins and never ends. It's the eternal profession of the living entity. So, we should not consider the activities of gopis to be mundane, although they worship Devi, because gopis' consciousness was very high. So, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that for 30 days continuously they went in the morning, singing the songs of the Lord, taking bath, making murti, worshipping with Shodasopachar. And the 30th day, which happened to be Margashirsha Purnima, full moon night, that particular day, early morning, again they went and they were very happy because that day there was a Samapan or Avabhruta Snana as per Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. That is the taking bath to commemorate the completion of the Vrata. They have to take bath in the river on completing a Vrata. That day they called also young Radha to accompany them, which means Radharani did not accompany them for all the 30 days. She was only called on the last day, which she accompanied them. Now, interestingly, Krishna as Antaryami knew everything what they were doing. He knew that they are desiring me as husband. They are praying openly, loudly to Katyayani Devi to have me as a husband. And today is the last day of the Vrata. The Vrata is getting completed. They are very pure-hearted, very selfless. They have done hard tapasya in the growing winter, in the cold winter, early morning they have come there. They have not taken any spice, any salt for 30 days. They have done kathor tapasya to prove that they want me. So I must go and fulfill their desire and give fruit to their Vrata. So Krishna went there. Interestingly, as per Chakravarti Pad, he took with him very small coward boys, 1 to 3 year old, and they were typically toddlers. They were crawling actually. Many of them were crawling. They hardly would walk. But they were so attached to Krishna that when that day Krishna left, they just could not leave Krishna. They just came crawling, running behind Krishna. Krishna also took them along with him. And he went to the bank of Yamuna, and all these boys were naked. Now, why Krishna did that? Because Krishna, whatever he was going to do on that day, he did not want older boys who know everything between the difference between boy and a girl, man and a woman, between difference between naked and being clothed, wearing clothes. Whoever will understand that, they will completely make a mess of the whole situation. That's why he took boys with him who do not understand the difference between man and woman, naked and non-naked, wearing clothes and not wearing clothes, but they are all naked. All the boys who accompanied Krishna were naked. And as soon as Krishna went there, Krishna went little ahead of them, and the boys were completely lost in their play. Like, when you take small children to the bank of river or ocean, the children start just playing with the mud or the sand and start making mountains, the holes, and so many things they make of the sand, and they get completely lost in the activity at the ocean, the bank of the ocean. So similarly, immediately on reaching, the boys got very busy. Krishna went little away, and at that time the gopis had entered the water. And Prabhupada writes that even today there is a custom that the girls will go in separate place to take bath in the river, and they'll remove all the clothes and enter naked in the waters of river. No males are allowed to go there. So they went and they removed their clothes, and Chakravarti Pad writes that they were red, yellow, green, blue, all kinds of colors of clothes were there, upper clothes and lower clothes. They were all stacked together on the bank of the river, Yamuna, and they entered in the water, and they were actually very happy that day because that was the last day of the Vrata. They had become very weak for 30 days of Vrata and not having any good food of all 30 days. But they were very happy doing Vrata, and they were inside the water, and suddenly they realized that Krishna came and stole all their clothes from the bank of the river. Krishna came while they were busy in water, completely engrossed. picked up all their clothes and climbed the nearby Kadamba tree and sat on the topmost branch. And when the ladies wanted to come out, they saw at the bank of the river. Sometimes whenever you are in the river, you may swim here and there. But when you come out, you first see and you want to come out of the water where your clothes are kept. You will keep looking and there you will come out of the river. So they were looking out and there was no cloth on the river bank. So they looked up and they saw all the clothes were hanging on the branch of the tree, called Kadamba tree, very high. And above all that was sitting the naughty boy Krishna, was laughing there. And then the boys also laughed, it seems, when they saw the girls looking at Krishna and when they started asking for the clothes. Krishna, now the girls became very desperate because they were wondering what to do now. How do we get the clothes? How do we come out? This boy has stolen our clothes. But actually they were very, very, very happy in the heart of their heart because they were desiring Krishna as a husband and they did not expect that he will be there at the end of the vrat to give the fruit of their vrat. So when they saw Krishna, they were very happy, but they were also puzzled now what to do, how to get our clothes. And there was nobody else. All the boys were playing lost in their game in the bank of the river. So they said, "Oh Krishna, please give us our clothes. We have to come out. We have finished our vrata." So Krishna said, "Come here and take your clothes. I know you are very tired due to your tapa and vrata, but you still have to come here and take the clothes away from me." So gopis were very happy because Krishna was talking to them very intimately as if he was their husband and they were his wives. They were desirous of such close relationship with him. So although embarrassed, they were in ecstasy in the heart of their hearts. Gopis began joking. Krishna was joking, gopis were started joking also. And they were telling each other, "Hey, you go first. Hey, you go first. Why don't you go first? I'm coming later. I just come behind you. Don't worry. Go ahead, go ahead." And finally telling each other, you go. Nobody went. Nobody went. And now we will read the conversation between the gopis given by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Krishna said, "Oh bird-like girls, if you do not come here, then with these garments caught in the branches, I will make swing and a hammock, and I will play. And I've come walking all the way, I'm tired, I want to spread all the clothes and go to sleep. I need to lie down because I've spent entire night awake and now becoming sleepy." The gopis said, "Oh, our dear coward boy, your cows, greedy for grass, have gone into the cave. You must quickly go there and herd them back to your home." Krishna said, "Come now, my dear coward girls, you must quickly go from here to Vraja and perform your household duties. Don't become a disturbance to your parents and other elders." Then Krishna's gopis said, "Oh dear Krishna, we will not go home. We will not go home for an entire month. For it is by the order of our parents and other elders that we are executing our vows of fasting called Katyayani Vrat." So they are telling Krishna lie actually. Already they have finished 1 month. And they are telling Krishna now they will not go home for 1 more month. Then Krishna says, "Oh my dear austere ladies, tapasvi ladies, I too, by the strength of seeing you, have now developed a surprising mood of detachment from family life. I wish to stay here for a month and execute the vow of dwelling in the clouds. And if you show mercy to me, I can come down from here and observe the vow of fasting for the clouds in your company." The gopis were completely captivated by Krishna's joking words, but out of shyness, they submerged themselves in the water up to their necks, and shaking from the cold, they addressed Krishna as follows. "Oh dear Krishna, don't be unfair. We know that you are the respectable son of Nanda Maharaj and that you are honored by everyone in Braja. You are also very dear to all of us. Please give back our clothes. We are shivering in the cold winter. Shama sundarate dasyaha karvaham tavoditam Dehim vasamsi, please give our clothes. Dharmadnyam no ched radni bhuvammi. If you do not give us your clothes, if you do not give us our clothes, we will complain to your father. And if you do not listen to that also, then we'll go to Kamsa and complain about you. So what did Krishna answer them? Krishna said, my father is an old man and I'm not scared of my father. Remaining, you are going to complain to Kamsa. You should know very soon I'm going to kill Kamsa. So don't tell me about Kamsa, okay? I'm not scared of him. So you can go and tell whoever you want. Looking at Krishna's determination, the gopis decided that there is no other alternative but to come out. We should come out before any other man comes and passes by, because they were very chaste ladies that way. They were wanting Krishna to be a husband, but they didn't want anybody else to see what's happening there. So they thought better, if Krishna is showing so determined determination not to give us our clothes, then better we come out fast, because if any other man comes in between, it will be a great difficulty. Second, we should come out before, they came out covering their private parts. Now when Krishna saw from the tree that they were covering their private parts, Krishna said, you have offended Varun Dev by entering in the waters of Yamuna in a naked condition. So you see, when the clothes were taken away by me, even Devi Katyayani could not stop me. Yamuna could not stop me, because Varuna is angry. That is why they are unhappy. Katyayani Devi is also unhappy. You have offended Varun Dev. So now, how to come out of that offense? You have to raise both of your hands and fold the palms on your head, above your head, and thus come out offering obeisances to Varun Dev. The simple-hearted gopis, they got very, very bewildered by Krishna's statement. And in Namaskar Mudra, they came out of the water and they offered obeisances to Varun Dev, and also offered impromptu Dandavat Pranam to Krishna also. And after receiving their clothes, they stood there only, captivated by Krishna. When they came out holding hands like this over the head, that means they were now completely exposed to Krishna. Prabhupada is very beautifully explaining that Krishna is doing a very naughty, lowly activity. It is understood by people like that. But Prabhupada explains, and Chakravarti Pad explains, Prabhupada disciples also explain that Krishna had no tinge of material lusty desire in him. Neither gopis had any lusty desire in them. This was pure loving exchange. And Krishna wanted to fulfill the desire of gopis to have him as husband. And only the lady will be naked or exposed completely in front of only husband. So by making this, Krishna was also telling them, I am accepting you as my wife or as my wives. And gopis also understood that Krishna is now talking with us very intimately. So they were embarrassed externally, but they were in ecstasy from within. And they came out and received clothes from Krishna. They wore the clothes, but they were not ready to move from that place, because Krishna was looking at them with such love. And they were completely captivated by the love of Krishna. And in this way, when they came out, Prabhupada says they exhibited complete 100% surrender to Krishna. Krishna, he cheated gopis. He deprived them of their modesty. He actually ridiculed them by calling them out naked. He made them act like a controlled doll, like toy. Still, why the gopis are not angry with him? I again repeat, if you study the story in a different way, you'll come to know he completely and thoroughly cheated them. He stole their clothes without their knowledge. Very embarrassing, insulting activity to steal somebody's clothes. Then their modesty, their dignity also he destroyed. He ridiculed them by when they were trying to hide their private part. He said, no, you have to raise your hands because you are the Varun Aparad. So he cheated them also. And then when whatever he said, they went on doing, which means he controlled them as toy, as a doll toy, as a bauli. So they should be angry actually. They should be very angry with Krishna because he misbehaved with them in lonely place where there was no support for them, no brother, no father was there to punish. When they talk about complaining, he also smashed the idea of complaining also. So from all angles, he subdued them completely. But in the heart of their hearts, they were very blissful because they wanted that. Atheistic people or people from other sampradayas or other dharma, they may say, what kind of Lord is this? He's completely immoral Lord. How can he be Lord? He is misbehaving with young girls, ridiculing them. Their modesty is destroyed. Their chastity is destroyed. What kind of Lord is this? Still, gopis were not angry with Krishna. They were feeling blissful for the opportunity to associate with Krishna. So what do we learn from this? All the negative feelings can be nullified, can be overcome if we love Krishna and if we focus on Krishna. What are the negative feelings? See, we are being ridiculed. We are being insulted. We are being controlled. We are being subdued. Our modesty is completely lost. This is depriving us of our modesty. Our dignity is completely destroyed. Our chastity is destroyed. There are negative feelings. You may be lifetime angry with somebody if somebody does one of these things. But gopis are found to be very blissful in ecstasy. Why is that? Because their mind was fixed on Krishna. Their love was totally focused on Krishna. Devaki also, she lost her 6 sons. Her own brother killed the 6 sons by smashing every baby on the stone in the prison house. And not one, 6 children, one after another, were killed in front of the eyes of Devaki. But when Kamsa came and fell at her feet asking for forgiveness, she immediately forgave him. How do you understand that? Because in between Krishna had appeared. In between Krishna appeared and Devaki was overwhelmed with darshan of Krishna, with dialogue with Krishna, with motherly love for Krishna, and she was focused on Krishna. And because of the love and focus on Krishna, she got rid of all the negativities, including the pain and the anger on brother Kamsa, who had just killed all the 6 babies one after another. So, what to speak of defined negativities? Even undefined, unknown negativities can be destroyed if we focus our mind on Krishna. What Prabhupada explains, what kind of love was expressed by gopis? Ashlishava padaratam pinashtuma. This ultimate love, this ultimate surrender, the ultimate nishthavanta prem was expressed by gopis. You crush us, you embrace us, you insult us, you embarrass us, you destroy our modesty, you ridicule us, doesn't matter. You control us by like a doll. But mat prananathastu sa evana paraha. We will be always yours. You are free to do anything and everything with us. You are free to do any behavior with us. You can break our heart or you can love us. You can embrace us, you can kick us away. You are free to do anything and everything because you will always remain our worshipful Lord unconditionally. Aradhya Praneshwaram. So then Krishna made a very beautiful statement. Let us read the verse. Krishna was so pleased with their surrender, with their desire, with their love, that Krishna made a very beautiful statement. He said, Na maya veshita dhyam, na maya veshita dhyam kamaha kamaya kalpate, bharjita patita dhanaha prayo bijaya neshate. The desire for those, I will read it like this here. By fixing our mind, by fixing your mind on me, no desire for sense gratification will erupt from your mind. He is blessing gopis in one sense. Already they were blessed. Their mind was already like that. But still Krishna is blessing that you, as you have surrendered your life to me, you submitted to me, you did everything what I want, you surrendered your lives to us, like to me. I bless you that because your mind is fixed upon me, no desire for sense gratification will ever erupt from your heart. And he gave a nice simile, nice comparison. He said, like we cook the grain, either it gets burnt with sun and then we cook it further, then no kind of sprout will come out of that grain. Once the grain is cooked by sunlight or by the fire, you know, no more sprouting takes place. Similarly, once somebody focuses one's mind on Krishna, no material desire will sprout from that mind. So people ask, how do we control? How do we control? How do we control this restless mind? How do we control lusty desire? The only answer is focusing on Krishna. Man mana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Always think of me. The topmost message of Krishna in Bhagavad Gita is always think of me. Mana bhava. Make your mind Krishnamay. Absorb yourself in Krishna. Think of Krishna. Talk about Krishna. Hear about Krishna. Serve Krishna. Go to Krishna's holy place. Everything Krishna. Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, Krishna Dhana Pran. Bolo Krishna, Bhojo Krishna, Koro Krishna Sika. This was the teaching of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Make Krishna your life and soul. Then whatever is unwanted, undesirable will vanish from us. And that is what the gopis did by this Chir Haran Leela. Now we will now consider this Chir Haran Leela from different angle. Chir Haran Leela, which is mostly misunderstood, but by the association of pure devotees and reading their commentaries like Chakravarti Pad, we understand it in proper perspective. The whole world who does not believe in Krishna or does not or believe in Krishna but do not have purification of the soul, the life is not pure in habits and words and action. They misinterpret that Krishna was lusty boy, he misbehaved with the girls against their desire and he did the Vinay Bhanga actually. But it is explained that Vritti Avaran Haran, that means what is the avaran on our soul? Our soul is covered by very closely by false ego. Then our soul is covered by desire for labh, puja and pratishtha. Then our soul is covered afterwards by kam, krodh, lobh, mad, moha, matsar. So these are very tight coverings of the soul. The immediate tightest covering is false ego, considering I to be separate from Krishna and considering I to be the body. Aham mameti. And because of the aham mameti, there is desire for profit, there is desire for pratishtha or fame, or pratishtha and puja, adoration. Pratishtha is distinction, and puja is adoration, and profit is labha. These are three main things that we are living for. However big devotee we become, somewhere in the corner of the heart there is desire for adoration by others. There is desire for profit like money or some property or some gain, and the desire to be distinct from others. I am not an ordinary devotee, I am something special. These three things are defined by Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati as Shukarera Vishta. So, and then these are subtle things. And the gross things is we want bodily pleasures, we get angry, we are intoxicated by the position and power, we are greedy, we are envious, we are intoxicated. We are in illusion. So this is called the Vastra over the soul. This is the real Vastra. And Vastra Haran Leela is meant for removing all the Vastras. So, Vritti Avaran ka Haran hi Chir Haran hai. These apavrittis in the heart of thought process and of activities and of the consciousness, thinking, feeling, and willing for things that are not connected with Krishna are called apavrittis or apapravrittis. And these apapravrittis are covering us like our clothing. So Krishna removes all these clothings and makes the soul naked. And what is naked soul? Satchidananda Atma. Naked soul is full of love for Krishna. Naked soul is attached to Krishna. Naked soul is subservient to Krishna. Naked soul is surrendered to Krishna. Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetanam Eko Bahuna Vedatati Kaman. That is the quality of a naked soul. The soul which is not contaminated or tinged with anything material. Originality. That soul is exposed by Krishna by his mercy. Similarly, Chir Haran Leela should be understood that way. That the way the Lord purifies the living entity, is exhibited in Chir Haran Leela. And while we are ripped away of our final cloth, it's like the cloth which is stuck to the body in a very tight fashion. We know what that cloth is. And when that cloth is removed, we all are very embarrassed. We all feel very shy. We feel very indignified. When we go to operation theatre and the doctor removes the last cloth also, which is stuck to the body. But we don't mind it in operation theatre. Why? Because we know if that cloth is not removed, then the surgery which is supposed to be done cannot be done. And I'm not going to get well if that cloth is not removed. If I go to the operation theatre and not allow the doctor to remove the tight cloth on my private parts, then I cannot be operated for my disease. So the way Krishna was determined not to give them clothes, we have to be determined to allow the surgeon to do that needful and to operate us and to cure us of our disease which is internal, which is inside the body. For that, the upper cloth has to be removed. Then only the internal disease can be surgically cured. So that is how we have to understand the Leela of Chir Haran. Now, we will talk something interesting. This particular Leela is also explained in Brahma Vaivarta Puran. This is also explained in Gopal Champu. This is also explained in Anand Vrindavan Champu. This is also explained in Garga Samhita. This is also explained in Bhagavatam and also Brahma Vaivarta Puran. Brahma Vaivarta Puran explains the Leela in a very unique fashion. It is explained that when Radharani was brought by gopis on the last day, all the gopis understood that now we have to go out and follow what Krishna has to say, and then he will get our clothes back. So all the gopis went out of the water, and Radharani did not go out of the water. Radharani remained in the water, and she started praying very hard to Katyayani Devi also and to Krishna also. And this said because of the power of Radharani, the clothes came to her instead of she going to Krishna and taking her clothes. This is what Brahma Vaivarta Purana explains. So this is the power of Radharani. The Radharani, by 10 different ways, expressed her superiority over the power of Katyayani Devi. And she did not have to go out of water. She just remained in the water. And then Lajja and Sankoch, she maintained, her dignity she maintained, and she received the clothes without even going out of the water. Now Radha Sudhanidhi also explains about Radharani's power. And Brahma Vaivarta Puran explains that when Radharani came and received the clothes on her own, Katyayani Devi appeared to Radharani. Please listen carefully. Katyayani Devi appeared to Radharani and Katyayani Devi glorified Radharani. She said, there is a whole lot of prayers over here. She said, "Oh Radha, you are most dear to Lord Hari than his own life. And this Gauri Vrat that you have done, or Katyayani Puja, is only for setting an example. You are Amanavi Devi, you are not a human Devi. How can you be human? Simply by the power of the Maya of Krishna, you have become embodied. But you are a divine Devi. You are the manifestation of Krishna's effulgence. All the Devanganas, they are your parts and parcels. How can you be Aman? How can you be Manavi? Only those who are deceased by avidya, they will consider you as ordinary. Your understanding you is simply difficult for those who are impure. It's not possible. You are completely unknown to those who are materially entangled. But you are at the same time the very life and soul of Lord Hari. Even after 60,000 years of tapasya, which Brahma did, Brahma could not see your lotus feet. In the Manu Vansha, there was a king called Suyadnya. He achieved Goloka simply by your mercy. Parshuramji also could destroy the Kshatriyas 21 times because of the mantra given by Lord Shiva of your name. I'll repeat again. Lord Shiva gave Radha mantra to Parshuram. Because of that, Parshuramji gained so much of power that he could destroy Kshatriyas 21 times around the world. Parshuramji could kill Kartavirya Arjun, the most powerful king, only by your mercy, O dear goddess Radharani. And when Parshuramji broke one teeth of my son Ganesha, and when I came out to destroy Parshuram or burn him to ashes at that time, O Parameshwari Radharani, you had saved Parshuram from my wrath. Only you, merciful Devi, could save him. Otherwise, I would have burnt Parshuramji to ashes. Now, at this point of time, Katyayani Devi is addressing Devi Radharani as Jagan Mata. So this is very important to consider that we consider Durga Devi as Jagan Mata, but Durga Devi, who is Jagan Mata, is considering Radharani as Jagan Mata. It's very important. So, like there is whiteness, color white color in milk, like there is burning nature in the fire, like there is sweet fragrance in bhumi, like there is coolness in the water of earth. You are not different from Krishna. You are the situation in Krishna like that. Devangana, Manav Kanya, Gandharva Kanya, all these, they cannot compare with the divinity that you have. Saying all these things, Bhagavati Durga Devi Katyayani disappeared, and then Lord Shamsundar came and gave darshan to Lord Srimati Radharani. And he also said, "O Radharani, I'm very pleased with you. Please ask for a boon." And Radharani said, "My eyes always should remain fixed on a lotus feet. Let my consciousness should always remain fixed up, and I should never ever be away from the Durlabh Bhakti, that is most difficult to attain. That Bhakti I should never lose from your lotus feet." That's how she worshipped Lord Krishna. Then Krishna said, "You are my eternal prayasi, eternal lover. You are my eternal associate. And only for performing Leela, I have brought you down from Goloka Vrindavan. Otherwise, you are simply from Goloka Vrindavan." Now, one more secret I must tell you. This is Radharani's separate pastime during Chirharan Leela that took place, along with other Chirharan Leela, what happened to Radharani. But now, there's an interesting factor. Who were the gopis who performed Katyayani Vrat? When we read Bhagavatam, it appears that all the gopis performed Katyayani Vrat. But actually, it is not true. There's a specific group of gopis only performed this Katyayani Vrat. Who were they? Sita Swayamvaram Gatva Dhanurbhangam Chakarasaha Uvaha Janakim Sitam Ramo Rajivalochanaha. At the time of Sita Swayamvar, Lord Ramchandra, who was called as Rajivalochana, he came and broke the Dhanushya. Tam Drishtva Maithilaha Sarva Purandrayo Mumuhur Vidhe. That means the Purandris, the beautiful ladies of Mithila, Tam Drishtva, they saw Lord Ram, who is Rajiva Lochana. Rahasya Uchurma Mahatmanam Bhartam no Bhavahe Prabhu. They approached Lord Ram in private and they told Lord Ram, Bharta Bhavahe Prabhu, please become our husband. Rahasya Uchurma Mahatmanam. Rahasya Uchur. In very privately they told Lord Ram, in a very confidential way, please become our husband. Tamaha Raghavendrastu Ma Shokam Purutastriya. Oh beautiful ladies, do not feel sorry. Ma Shokaha, Ma Shokam. Raghavendra, Krishna, Lord Ramchandra spoke. Dwaparante Karishyami Bhavatinam Manoratham. I will fulfill your desire. I will fulfill your Manorath in Dwapar Ante. When I will come at the end of Dwapar Yuga, Karishyami, I will fulfill your desire. Don't worry. Sri Ramasya Varaja Varajjata Navananda Graheshuya. This is again Garga Samhita, which says that those ladies who were attracted by Lord Ram, when Lord Ram went to marry Sita Devi in Mithila, when he broke the Shiva Dhanushya, those ladies, by the mercy of Lord Ram, took birth in the 9 Upanandas in Nandagaon. There is 5 Nandas and 9 Upanandas. These are the subordinate Nandas. They also have different qualifications. And these ladies took birth in the houses of Upanandas in Nandagaon. And they were the girls who would always stand there ready to serve Yashoda Mai. Kim Karaha, what to do, my mother? So then they would say, okay, bring towel, bring shankha, bring chandan, bring the ornament, bring this, bring that, do this, do that. All the menial works they did. And they were very eager to serve Krishna, and as they became gopis in the same village as Krishna's birth, and they saw Krishna day and day night, they got very, very, very attracted. And they wanted to marry Krishna. So at that time, they were advised by Purnamasi to go and do Katyayani Vrat at the bank of Jamuna. So these Mithila Vasini gopis, they are named as Mithila Vasini gopis. Kamaniyam Nanda Sunuhu Drishtvatva Mohama Asitaha. When they saw the beautiful Nanda Sunu, the son of Nanda Maharaj, they were completely in moha. They completely lost in moha of Krishna. Margashirshe Shubhe Masi Chakruhu Katyayani Vratam. Same verse is there in Bhagavatam also. Upachare Shodashabihi Kritva Devi Mahimayim. They went in the beginning of Kartik, in the beginning of Margashirsha, end of Kartik. They went to Yamuna. They worshipped Katyayani Devi with this Shodasopachar, and that's how they pleased the gopis. So, Katyayani Mahamaye, Mahayogini Adhishwari, Nanda Gopam Supam Devi, Patime Kurume Namaha. Oh Devi, make us the wives of Krishna. Make Krishna as our husband. Shama Sundarate Dasyaha, Karavaam Navtavoditam, Dehim Vasam Se Dharmadnya, No Chedu Radhe Bruvamahe. Hey Sham Sundar, we are your lady, we are your servants. We will do whatever you want. You are a great knower of religion. Please don't disturb us anymore. Give us our clothes back. So like that, this beautiful rahasya of the gopis who did Katyayani Vrat is explained in Garga Samhita. And there are many kinds of gopis, Kausalya Vasini gopis, Ayodhya Vasini gopis, Samudra Kanya. There are so many hundreds and hundreds of types of gopis explained in Garga Samhita. And then what did Krishna do? in the end of this verse, in the end of the Leela, I will tell you, Krishna said, oh girls, yata bala vrajam, siddha mayema rayamsa shapaha. You please go now. You please go home. Yadu uddishyaha vratamidam, cheru aryarchanam satihi. Your desire will be fulfilled. Whatever desire you kept in the mind, it will be definitely fulfilled by me. In very close coming nights, within few days, I will perform Rasa Leela with you. After all, this was the purpose of your vow to worship Goddess Katyayani. O pure-hearted ones, O Yata Bala Vrajam. So, Ityadishta Bhagavata Labdha Kama Kumarika. Thus, instructed by the Lord, the ladies went home, and it is explained in Bhagavad Garga Samhita. On the 5th day from this Leela, that means when Margashirsha Purnima will come, that is the day when Krishna stole the clothes of the gopis, Mithila Vasini gopis. And on Panchami day after that, Krishna included them all in Rasa dance. He danced with them in Rasa Leela. He gave them Rasa Leela dance and then fully accepted them as their wives. Now, this place is called Chir Ghat. And Chir Ghat, there are two places in Brajbhumi. One is Chir Ghat next to Imlitala. That is Vrindavan Chir Ghat. And there's another Chir Ghat, which is far inside the village, which also we have visited. And you will find the clothes are hanging over there. So what do we go and desire? What do we go and pray there? We pray there. Yes, I am wearing a kurta and I am wearing a garland over here. I am wearing my spectacles. I am wearing so many beautiful ornaments and clothes and decorating myself. But there are so many inside clothes which are stuck to my soul, which are lust, anger, greed. There are desires for enjoyment and distinction and profit and adoration. There is a finer tight cloth of my false ego. Oh dear Lord, oh Lord of the heart of gopis, please steal away all my clothes which are sticking to my soul. I would like to narrate to you my experience with Radhanath Swami Maharaj. He said he was taking me around the GEV forest. Somehow I was alone with him. And he took me and suddenly he stopped at the bank of Jamuna and he said, look Vishwarup here. So I just looked, I couldn't see anything. He said, look up. So I looked up on the tree. There was a Kadamba tree, actual Kadamba tree, which we planted, brought from Vrindavan and planted here in Golok, in the GEV, Govardhanika village. And on the real Kadamba tree, there was a deity of Krishna on the top. And he was sitting in a very hidingly condition. He was not very obviously seen. Then Maharaj asked me, so what do you see? I said, I see Krishna. He said, what do you see more? He said, he's very hidingly sitting there. He said, please pray to him with humility in the heart to take away all your clothes over the soul. Let him steal away all the clothes over your soul so that you become completely naked on the spiritual platform. And the real glory of the soul is exposed for the pleasure of Krishna. So I felt very moved, highly moved with that beautiful scene. First of all, that Krishna sitting on the tree is not visible by our own eyes. We need the guidance of spiritual master to show him to us. Look, he is there. Do you see him? He is there. And he is waiting for you to request that you will request him to remove all your falsehood, to remove all your clothes which are covering you from your real existence. So please, with humility in the heart, he said to me, please pray to him to steal away all your clothes, to steal away all your bad pravrutti, apapravrutti, and expose yourself naked completely in front of him. And that naked existence belongs to him. And he deserves to see it for his pleasure. So I stood there with Guru Maharaj, and both of us prayed very intensely to that Lord who was ready to steal all the clothes which are sticking to our existence, which are sticking us into the world also, which are binding us to this world itself. So it was a very intimate and intense association that I received in this very place, Govardhan Eco Village, just at the bottom of that beautiful tree called Chir Ghat. It's a Kadamba tree where Krishna stole away all the unnecessary coverings over the soul and made the soul completely raw and original to be acceptable by him. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. If there are any questions, you can ask. Hare Krishna. Yes, anybody has any questions? Okay, if there's no question, I will end. Any question? Anybody has?
Prabhuji, Dipti Mataji has one question.
Yes, please.
I've just unmuted her. Please unmute Dipti Mataji. Yeah. Anybody has a question? You can ask Prabhuji to.
I think nobody
Dr.
has any
Meena.
question.
Okay, Prabhuji. That's, I think. Dipti Rao.
Yes, Dipti Roy, please ask.
I've unmuted her. You'll have to unmute yourself.
Okay.
I
Dr. Meena, you have a question?
No, Prabhuji, everything satisfied.
Jai
But
Shri Radhe Shyam. Thank you so much. So,
Aarti Mataji, you have a question?
yes,
Yeah.
Mataji, Aarti Mataji has a question.
Prabhuji, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
The other day in Japa meditation, you said that there is material success and spiritual success. So spiritual success is in make it a success, and material is whatever is destined. That's what you said. But what I feel that Sudama, he had nothing, but still he went to Krishna, and Krishna changed his destiny. Because so
So that is
Krishna can
Krishna's-
change our destiny.
That is Krishna's sweet desire to change if he wants to change. But otherwise it won't be changed. It will be fixed. If Krishna changes, it is his choice. In his authority, he can change. Otherwise, your destiny, nobody can change. Even demigods, nobody can change your destiny.
But in ISKCON, we say no, when we clap our hands, our destiny changes. कारण आपल्या हातावर जे रेषा असतात त्या सगळ्या बदलून जातात. जे काय
That is
असतं ते जेव्हा
correct.
आपण-
That is that. What does that mean is that your karmas are getting burnt.
Okay.
But whatever we have to go through for purification, you will have to go through. You cannot avoid that by clapping hands.
No, but we feel that whatever is happening in our life is because of the mercy of Krishna. Whatever we are getting is because of the mercy of Krishna. We don't think that it is because of our karmas we are getting.
See, I have explained previously also many times in different pravachans. I will like to repeat over again here. The day you become devotee or you decide to become a devotee, okay, from today onwards, I believe in Krishna, I want to become a devotee. That day, previous to that, your file of karma is into many departments. Is with Vayu, with Yamraj, with Chandra Devta, with Sun. Everybody is giving you the reaction of your karma. Everybody, the whole file is divided into many people that, okay, all of it together give reactions to this fellow's karmas. The day you decide to become devotee, all the files of your life are taken by Krishna personally in his hand. And not only the file of this life, but the file of all future lifetimes also is gathered by Krishna by the demigods, from the demigods, and he puts them into one file, makes them into one merge. He merges, he becomes a great merger of all the karmas of all lifetimes are brought into one file. Then, after doing that merging activity, he will be deleting many of the karmas that you now don't require as you have become a devotee. As you have become a devotee, there are many reactions of many karmas that you don't require for ultimate goal of life. So he will delete all of them. And now what is remaining is what he feels is necessary for your purification. And because they are collections of many lifetimes which are necessary things, it appears to be very big and long because he has brought them all together in one lifetime. He has deleted a lot of them, but still what remains as necessary for purification is also a lot. Maybe it is 1% of all, but that 1% is very big compared to if it is divided into many lifetimes. It would be many, many, many lifetimes of little karma. But now it is all brought together. And then that karma is personally given to you as reaction by Krishna himself. Krishna will monitor it personally. The reactions of those karmas, Krishna will monitor personally, give it personally, supervise personally while you go through that. That is why we say all that happens in devotee's life is by the mercy of the Lord, because Lord is personally supervising the giving of the reactions of the remaining karmas of that one file made by him. So, in one sense, you are suffering from your karma only, but in other sense, he is personally supervising the karma and the reactions, personally monitoring. Now he is looking after, not demigods. He chooses to see you, how you go through, and support you when you're going through, help you to give you hand. Jethe zato tethe tu maza sangati salavi shi hati dharuniya. Then he will hold your hand and get you through those things. You can't escape those things. You have to go through those things, but he will hold your hand and take you through those things. So that way, the Lord is personally taking care of you and me, helping us personally. But at the same time, no nullification, no deletion. He deletes, but what is required for your purification, he will mercifully keep. And then one by one, when you go through, you get purified and you get realizations and you become, sorry to say, you get exposed. One layer of avrutti is removed and you become gradually more naked and more raw and more original and more original. And then you shine in the end when everything is removed. You shine with original glow of Satchidananda and you become acceptable by Krishna. So why Krishna removed clothes, stole the clothes? So that we become acceptable by him. With those dirty clothes sticking snugly on our body, we are not acceptable by him. So by removing all the clothes, he makes us acceptable by him and makes us his own. अपना बना लेते हैं, ठीक है?
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji, for wonderful answer.
Jai Shri Radhe Shyam. Anybody else? Okay. So with these few words, I will now end our talk. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.